to spread into Europe and...
Canadian nationals are being contracted by the cartels to operate as enforcers.
It doesn't make sense why they would pay a Canadian $55,000 to assassinate somebody or fly somebody in from the Balkans or Australia.
Because they need an international stronghold. And so when you have people who don't look like you, they can fly under the radar a lot better.
How much is one of these labs producing? Do you know that?
Yeah, okay, so one batch will be like $150,000 worth of fentanyl pills.
And
they're producing...
how many pills is that? Any
It
idea?
depends, because it depends on the size of the pills. It depends on the strength of the strength of fentanyl in each pill.
I'm just trying to get an estimation of how much shit is coming through, the northern U.S.-Canadian border. And then how fast do you think this is spreading? I mean, it sounds like right now it's pretty localized in Vancouver, but when's it going to go, more towards the other coast?
It is in the East Coast. It's not at the same level, but it certainly is in the East Coast. What I know what's happening for sure in the East Coast is a lot of people are being contracted by the cartels and not Mexican people. Canadian nationals are being contracted by the cartels to operate as enforcers. A lot of people in Quebec and Ontario.
What do you mean enforcer? What does that mean? It's like a hockey player.
It's like
It protects the hockey team, right?
they're protecting the operations.
How
They're
so? What are they doing?
taking out hits, threatening people, ensuring that the right individuals are being paid off, whether that be enforcement at the border so that guns can get across into Canada from the US, or fentanyl can go the other way.
How are they getting their people up there? Are they coming up through the US?
Yeah.
And just keep going north, or are they flying them in?
So prior to Canada re-implementing the visa requirement, a lot of the Mexican nationals were flying directly into Canada. They completely would bypass the U.S. It was much easier that way because they wouldn't need a visa.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little bit different. Now some of the operatives who were already based in the U.S. are moving into Canada.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when I gained access to a few group chats that were run by the cartels on WhatsApp, Telegram. WhatsApp is like the starting point just because of the way the encryption is set up. They don't want to talk about too much, but because it is so accessible, it's a great way to hire people, recruit people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I gained access to a group chat where they were basically recruiting people to work as enforcers for them, sicarios, managing certain logistics of the business, whether that's paying off authority, finding out who's who, getting the arms, finding the dealers, contracting straw buyers, whatever it may be. When I was in this group chat, the first thing that stood out to me was two of the phone numbers were Canadian area codes. One was Alberta and one was Toronto. And one of the individuals was directly asked if he could take out a hit if need be. He would be paid $55,000 Canadian. He would have to buy a Glock with three mags, I think it was. I have this screenshot. And there could be no kids around. And if he goes to the house, make sure that no family is around of the individual that needs to be killed. And so for a lot of these people, money was put on the table right away. You get into this group chat, whether that means you're going to be moving fentanyl pills into the US, whether that means you may have to take out a hit, or pay someone off, conducts any sort of logistics. It was, this is how much you'll make. Take it or leave it. And that was, for a lot of people, that first incentive. Now, for a lot of other folks, it was, I'm going to be a part of the cartel. For a lot of these people, they're kind of outcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel like power, or they're like an aggressive person. And a lot of those type of guys who kind of had like a violent past, boxers, were being hired as sicarios. And the way they would be recruited into these group chats was either through social media. So a lot of fake postings or postings on Facebook or TikTok that would allude to what they could become a part of, but also just through knowing someone. Word of mouth.
Interesting.
Hey, my niece is dating this guy. He's been here from Mexico for around 6 years. He's making a ton of money. I know you're strapped for cash. Would you, if you get a package and you just have to drive it across the border, go to the Sears or Walmart parking lot, someone's going to pick it up, don't look inside, and you're going to get paid $70,000. Just go and come back. People will do it.
Damn. And Canada's not doing, you actually on the outline, I saw that they are also recruiting from the Balkans.
Yeah.
Did I see that?
Yeah. Balkan states, like Armenian guys too. A lot of ex-gang members from over there. And in Australia too. I mean, at this
They're
point...
recruiting from Australia?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Australia, England, like, it seems like there's like this thing with the Commonwealth places is like...
Why are they going to the... I mean, why are they... It sounds like there's no shortage of people that want to join the cartels.
There isn't. And that's what...
So why are they recruiting out of the Balkans?
Because they need an international stronghold. And so when you have people who don't look like you, don't talk like you, and come from different training backgrounds, they can fly under the radar a lot better. And they have access to different areas that certain Mexican operatives do not. So, say for example, not that long ago, there was a blatant daylight shooting in Vancouver. A guy was killed, and he was shot by a Canadian man from Quebec, super French name. This individual had spent years in Mexico and Colombia, and was said to eventually work for the cartel, go to Canada, and take out this hit. Now, how much better is it that you have a Canadian national taking out a hit? He knows where to go. He knows how law enforcement operates. He's from this place. He has access. The chances that there's going to be a fuck up are a lot less. And also, if you know that Canadian law enforcement is not directly attacking the cartels when an associate who's not Mexican is operating for them, of course, you're going to have a foreign person, a Canadian or an Australian or someone from England, take out the hit or commit the crime.
Yeah, are they trying to spread into Europe and Armenia and Australia as well? I mean, could that be another reason?
Yeah.
Is they're making connections?
Yeah, and there are already Interpol reports of particularly CG&G having activity, having strongholds in Australia, in Western Europe, in Kenya. There was people think I'm crazy when I talk about this, but they found a CG&G linked lab in Kenya, in Africa.
Wow. What the hell are they doing over there?
Producing and trafficking. It's an international operation. And to me, it makes sense that they are moving everywhere. Because it's like what I said, the catch me if you can.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me with I guess it would, in Kenya, I mean, I don't know how many people would be able to afford fentanyl, but...
But it's not about domestic distribution. Mm-hmm. It's about that production there and being so far removed from where the Hawkeye view is, which is Canada, US, and Mexico, and being able to move the product outwards from there.
The other thing is, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong by any means.
It's okay, you can.
To me, it doesn't make sense why they would pay a Canadian 55,000 Canadian dollars to put a hit out to assassinate somebody or fly somebody in from the Balkans or Australia, when we do know they don't give a shit about their people dying. I mean, we've seen that for years. They give them 5 minutes of training and send them off to their work.
Yeah.
But and so it's not very cost effective for them to have to pay that price when they can just send somebody from a little pueblo that has nothing into Canada, U.S., anywhere they want.
It's certainly not cost effective, but I think logistically it works for them. You have a Canadian who's willing to commit these crimes for you on their soil.
Mm-hmm.
You completely avoid detection of
Yeah, I
that
guess it
being
would
the
keep your
cartel.
footprint down
It does.
until those people get interrogated, and I mean,
And they say they've been working
does
for the
make
cartels.
it.
And then in the RCMP information, they're saying, well, yeah, this person had connections with Mexican criminals.
Mm-hmm.
But Canadian authority isn't going after those criminals who put out the hit.
Man, is there anything that Canada has been doing to combat this at all, or they're just trying to sweep it under the rug?
I think they're sweeping it under the rug. I think since Trump tried to say, we got to crack down on the northern border, and Kash Patel has been putting a lot of pressure, they've been doing these sort of public things like, the appointing a fentanyl czar, amping up the amount of border patrol at the northern border. But in terms of really getting to the root of the problem, it's being swept under the rug. And a lot of folks that I've spoken to in Canadian law enforcement agree with that notion.
Interesting.
And if I speak to any of my sources that are, part of associates with the cartel operating in Canada, they feel like it's business as usual.
Are they infiltrating? I mean, how big are they getting into Canada? I mean, like in the U.S., we know they're starting to get involved in politics, local police departments. A lot of them are joining the military to get the training and then get out.
I don't think that's happening yet, and because I don't think it's necessary. I think that the way that they've set up shop is working for them, and they're not going to fix something that isn't broken and risk losing what they have.
Okay.
And it's also important to keep in mind that there is evidence, and there's all these reports that come out from CSIS about Chinese intervention in Canadian politics and elections. And if the Mexican cartels are already directly working with the Chinese, there's no need for them to go above them and try to get involved with Canadian politics. That's being done for them.
Interesting.